students in Chesterfield County are now back in the classroom today. They began phasing in their plan in the county to transition back to in-person instruction. CBS 6's Gabrielle Harmon is working for you with who is in this next wave, how many students will be divided up, and what the next phase of that master plan is. Gabrielle?
Today, students in Cohort 3 are back in the classrooms as Chesterfield County continues to phase in students for in-person learning.
On Monday, 4th and 5th graders, high school students at the career and technical centers, as well as some alternative education middle school students, walked into their classrooms for the first time since March. Since the start of the new school year, Chesterfield County has been planning on how to bring kids back to school safely. Students in cohorts 2, 3, and 4 will return with a hybrid system of 2 in-person learning days. Students will be split up into groups based off of last names. Those with last names A through K will return to the classrooms on Mondays and Tuesdays, and students with last names L through Z will return on Thursdays and Fridays. One parent shared online about their child attending one of the career and technical centers this week, but will continue to have their child learning from home for other classes until Cohort 4 is approved.
On Tuesday, the school board will meet with the health committee to get an update. That update will determine whether or not students in Cohort 4 will be able to return to the classrooms. Middle and high school students are in Cohort 4, and we'll be sure to keep you updated on that decision right here on CBS 6. Working for you, Gabrielle Harmon, CBS 6 News.
Thank you, Gabrielle. We have breaking news out of Lexington, Virginia, where the superintendent of the Virginia Military Institute has resigned. Retired Army General J.H. Binford Pay III tendered his resignation this morning after 17 years in the post. This comes just a week after state officials, including VMI graduate Governor Ralph Northam, ordered an investigation into what they call a culture of ongoing structural racism at the academy. An article published by the Washington Post quoted black cadets describing their encounters with relentless racism, including threats of lynching. VMI's board president says he welcomes a full review and pledged to fully cooperate. Here in Richmond, the police department is partnering with the city's public schools to celebrate Red Ribbon Week. The Red Ribbon campaign symbolizes intolerance of the use of drugs. The theme this year is Be Happy, Be Brave, Be Drug-Free. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, Richmond police officers will engage this year with students in their communities. Each day will have a specific way to celebrate. Today is Crazy Hair and Crazy Socks Day. Tomorrow, you're asked to represent your favorite sports team. And turning to the weather on this Monday, it's a bit gloomy and chilly here in the metro area. Meteorologist Frances Payton is in the Backyard Weather Center, a little bundled up for this Monday. Hi, Frances.
Yes, I am absolutely bundled up this afternoon. It's a little bit gloomy, as Cheryl just mentioned. We have low-level moisture, so we have some low-level clouds that we're dealing with at this noon hour. And we're looking at basically a cloudy day today, even though a high-pressure system is keeping us dry, but it's a very weak high pressure. So it's keeping us dry, but we do have two low pressures basically sandwiching us, one off the coast and one digging the Ohio Valley, which is bringing us that cloud cover that we are experiencing at this noon hour. What do you think about that, Kens? Anyways, temperatures are slightly cooler. We're sitting at 54 in the Richmond area, 54 also in Petersburg, 53 in Louisa, and 56 in Farmville. Our high temperatures likely breaking into the mid-60s this afternoon and having some breaks of sunshine or bright overcast skies. That's something that we can look forward to not until the late afternoon, as that high pressure system will stick with us, but we are tracking a chance of seeing some rain showers later in the week. I'll have all those details coming up later. Cheryl?
We will see in a few minutes. Thank you, Frances. In Petersburg, police have just announced an arrest in a shooting investigation. Investigators say they've charged 25-year-old Isaiah Friend with murder. Yesterday afternoon, officers found 30-year-old Martaz Thompson dead in a car at the Salem & Sons gas station in the 1900 block of Boynton Plank Road. Police have not said yet what led to that shooting or why Friend is considered a suspect. A Richmond judge could decide the fate of the Robert E. Lee Monument in the city as soon as today. The judge says we can expect a ruling no later than November 1st. That's when the injunction protecting the Lee statue, which stands on state property in Richmond, is set to expire. Governor Northam seeking to remove that statue on Monument Avenue, but was blocked by several lawsuits, including one from some area residents. They claim removal goes against a deed from 1890 that transferred the control of the statue to the state, and the state promising to protect it. The Attorney General argues the state cannot be bound to preserve something forever, especially when it doesn't represent current values. We, of course, will update you as soon as a decision comes in. Early voting records are being shattered all across the country as the presidential election heads now into the final week. As Bafta Yaman reports from the White House, the two candidates not only differ on the key issues, but on how they're handling these final days of the campaign.
President Trump arrived in Allentown for a full day of campaigning in Pennsylvania.
We have a big event. We have 3 of them today, but this will be a group of people that we know very well.
The Keystone State is critical to the president's bid for a second term, and he has some ground to make up. The average of polls there shows Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden with a 5-point lead.
I think we're going to win Pennsylvania by more than we did last time.
Those numbers are closer than they were a week ago, as the president holds multiple rallies a day, and Biden has had multiple days without a public campaign event, including today.
He's waved a white flag on life. He doesn't leave his basement.
I feel superstitious when I predict anything other than it's going to be a hard fight.
CBS Evening News anchor Norah O'Donnell asked the former vice president about the perceived lack of enthusiasm surrounding his campaign during an interview with 60 Minutes that aired last night.
Do you think there are a lot of people who are going to vote for you simply because you're not Donald Trump?
Well, I hope there's going to be a lot of people vote for him because of who I am, but I think the contrast between Donald Trump and me is about as stark as it can get.
Vice President Mike Pence is also very active on the campaign trail with several events today despite a second COVID outbreak at the White House involving his aides. The vice president's chief of staff, Mark Short, outside political advisor Marty Obst, and 3 additional aides recently tested positive for COVID-19. Mr. Pence's press secretary said while Vice President Pence is considered a close contact with Mr. Short, he will maintain his schedule because he is essential personnel. Bafta Yaman, CBS News, the White House.
The newest U.S. Supreme Court justice is expected to be confirmed later today. Senate Leader Mitch McConnell says everything is on track to confirm Amy Coney Barrett after senators met over the weekend to clear the way for today's hearing. The vote will end a process Democrats have called a rushed sham. If Barrett is confirmed, she will be sworn in shortly after that with the shortest margin ever to place a justice on the high court before a presidential election. This week is your last chance to vote early. This Saturday, October 31st, is the deadline to vote early in person. Registrar's offices will be open today through Saturday. Now, if you're voting by mail, make sure your ballot is postmarked by Election Day, November 3rd. Of course, you still have the option to vote in person. Election Day is next Tuesday.
Thanks for voting early!
Several people in Central Virginia took advantage of early voting over the weekend. Hundreds of Richmond voters came out to the Laburnum polling location Saturday to cast their ballot.
Seeing all these different groups of people from every district come out or whatever and exercise their right, it's fabulous to see. We just need to take everything seriously and just all political views, everything. White, black, Hispanic, all different nationalities. We all need to exercise our right.
At the Hickory Hill Community Center polling location on the city's south side, voters had to wait nearly an hour just to cast their ballot. Despite the delays, everyone we talk with says making your vote count is crucial. And as we get closer to Election Day, you can always check out our complete voter's guide. It will answer any questions you might have about the election. Just click on Election 2020 at the top of our homepage at WTVR.com. Turning now to the very latest on the coronavirus, where the Virginia Health Department is reporting now more than 900 new cases in the last 24-hour period. Right now, health officials have confirmed 174,275 positive tests since the pandemic began in March. 3,581 people have died in Virginia due to the coronavirus. Meantime, the Virginia Hospital and Healthcare Association reports more than 1,000 people are currently hospitalized in Virginia with COVID-19. 2019. But doctors have treated and released more than 19,000 patients here in Virginia. The Richmond Henrico Health District is continuing its free coronavirus testing events this week. They're holding an event at the Eastern Henrico Health Department tomorrow from 10 a.m. until noon. And there's another set for Thursday, that's at Second Baptist Church, and on Friday at the Eastern Henrico Health Department again. Be sure to call the hotline to set up an appointment. That number is 804-205-3501. When it comes to a coronavirus vaccine, Virginia Governor Northam is using $22 million of federal CARES Act money to create a statewide distribution program. The state's plan focuses on identifying groups that are highest priority for the vaccine. Many of the vaccines being tested do require 2 doses, so another focus is to make sure people get both doses on time. And the governor released a statement with this plan, saying in part, quote, "We want to be ready to help Virginians get that vaccine quickly, efficiently, and safely as possible. This funding will support the Virginia Department of Health's vaccine preparations, so distribution will go more smoothly when a vaccine becomes available." Negotiations continue on Capitol Hill over a second stimulus bill. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin are working to reach a deal before Election Day next week. Ahead on the CBS 6 News at noon, the 3 issues currently holding up progress on that bill. Plus, a Washington, D.C. Archbishop makes history. He's posed to become the first Black American cardinal, who he is and when he would take his position.
Yeah. I can still hear myself. 1, 2, yeah. 1, 2. Should I just switch to IFB7? Hello, hello. Oh, perfect. Woohoo! Thank you, Jake. What in the world?
In Washington, D.C., there's still hope for a stimulus deal before Election Day next Tuesday. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she is optimistic about Congress passing a coronavirus relief package. Pelosi expected to continue talks today with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Both Democrats and Republicans have released proposals over the past few months, which have been rejected by the opposite side. Some of the sticking points include plans for COVID testing and tracing and the overall cost of the bill. And a lack of a stimulus package agreement and a spike in coronavirus cases nationwide is taking a toll on Wall Street today. In early trading, the Dow was off over 700 points and the Nasdaq down almost 200 points. Here's where the numbers are right now at midday. The Dow is down 719 2/3 points at 27,610. The Nasdaq is off 191 2/3 at 11,359, and the S&P 500 is down 70 1/4 at 3395. We'll be watching